Welcome everybody back to the Spinning Rack. Today I'm here with my boy Cal. We're discussing the biggest news that hit the Marvel Universe recently. Something that I think may put a smile on a lot of people's faces. And I know it will on Cal's, even though we can't exactly see his face, his nose, his lips, his chin. So we're not exactly sure how he's going to react to this.
And you don't need to.
But Sam Raimi, that's right, baby. Director of Spider-Man. The original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is coming to Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. Now, why am I thinking this is such a big deal? This is the guy who helped kick off some of the biggest superhero films. Spider-Man 1 with Tobey Maguire and 2 were fantastic. Did a fantastic job. All I can say is that even back then, I think they even had in the movies where they were talking about what to call Dr. Octopus. There was a whole scene between J. Jonah and another dude where they were talking about what to call him. Instead of Dr. Octopus, they were saying, what about Doctor Strange or something like that? So you even have that tenuous connection to the Spider-Man movie.
Extremely gossamer, very thin.
But it's there. And the point I'm trying to say is that if this is a guy who's handled superhero films and has done successful, Spider-Man, those were some of the biggest successful Marvel, Sony films ever. Also, he's handled horror films, and Multiverse of Madness is going to be bringing up some of that horror.
Oh, I'm sorry, what was the other film he handled? What type of film?
Horror. Did I just said that, bro?
I said horror.
I said horror.
No, horror. Dude. That's correct.
We going back again with this stuff?
This is what happens when you don't go to a specialized high school.
But you know what's going to happen? When I put my size 12 in your neck, we're going to have problems. You know what I'm trying to say?
Just because I went to a specialized high school doesn't mean I don't know how to rumble, okay? You mean I get your foot back. All right. So, that being said.
So what is your take on the news, my friend?
Well, first, I did want to elaborate a little bit more on the work Sam Raimi did, because Sam Raimi goes all the way back to Evil Dead with Bruce Campbell. That was a big fan favorite show for a lot of guys. Still is cult classic or just very successful with people. In addition, he was responsible for what was known as the Action Pack at the time when it started. It was Vanishing Son and Hercules: The Legendary Journeys. Hercules: The Legendary Journeys turned out to be very, very popular. It ran for 4 seasons, and the only reason why it didn't run longer is because the lead, Kevin Sorbo, had health issues. So they capped it at 4 seasons.
Didn't know that.
No, a lot of people didn't. Sorbo wanted to keep his situations private, and he did. And
wait, hold on. You said private? It's private, by the way.
Sure, when you don't go to a specialized school. It's okay.
I'm trying to say.
Say it the way you need to. But it's still
he
horror,
wants to call
not
me
horror.
Horror, and he's calling it that way.
Yeah, but we also got another character off of the show who was Lucy Lawless's Xena. And that ran for 6 seasons, and a lot of people liked it. Well, I won't get too much into.
Initial one was pretty good, but and then she went on to Spartacus,
which was also Sam Raimi.
Yeah, Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi was also behind Spartacus. So if you enjoyed any of these things, okay, or all of these things, Sam Raimi, not just Spider-Man, but Sam Raimi, we see him right over there. And you probably know his brother too, who was Joxer. You notice that
wow, that's Joxer.
Yeah, you'll notice that you'll see Joxer sprinkled. Anyway. You will see him sprinkled
all over
around.
the place.
Yes.
I was expecting him. In fact, that point that I was making about Doctor Strange when J. Jonah was talking to someone, that is Joxer, his brother, and they're talking about, he comes up with the idea, why don't we just call him Dr. Octopus or something like that? And J. Jonah's like, no, that's a dumb idea. Probably Strange or something like that. And at the very end, J. Jonah's like, you know what? Dr. Octopus sounds good. And he's like, what? So yeah, it's pretty wild. Full circle. But I'm saying these are capable hands. We know he's handled big budgets. We've known Sam Raimi knows the superhero and the horror genre, the horror comedy genre.
Right.
Bruce, and I think that's one of the best things with Doctor Strange. I think that when Benedict Cumberbatch,
yes,
when he has that sly, dry British humor, I think it works pretty well. And I think that I can see Sam Raimi working with that, to bring out...
Are we going to have sly, dry British humor with him playing an American doctor?
Well, I'm just saying, sly, dry American humor, I guess. I think his humor comes out pretty much.
Yeah, we're not really known for sly, dry humor in America. We're more slapstick, that type of stuff. But
hey, you know what? You kind of disagree. But what do you think about Sam Raimi taking over, though? You think he's going to do a couple?
Normally, if a film lost a director, I would say this film is in trouble.
This late stage in the game, yeah.
Yes. However, Sam Raimi, for me, is like another Josh Whedon, where okay, these are capable hands. There's capable hands at the wheel, and even more so, Sam Raimi understands comics and superheroes. This isn't somebody who's going to look to overcompensate for the superhero world, which I see goes on too often. Oh, we can't do that and can't do this. No, he may add some flourish to the whole thing, but I am more than confident that he can, bring this ship to port at the end of the day and still make it enjoyable for everyone. When Spider-Man came out, okay, this is Sam Raimi Spider-Man in 2000. I was not a big fan of that film. Okay?
What, with Toby?
Again, I was not a big fan of that film. I thought it was okay. Mind you, I only saw it once in the theaters, and it just didn't impact on me. I did not, it just didn't impact on me very well. Then the next time I saw a Spider-Man film was Spider-Man 2. And when I saw Spider-Man 2, again, I was kind of like, well, but then when I saw that, I realized, you know what, Spider-Man was actually a better film than I thought because I enjoyed Spider-Man more than I enjoyed Spider-Man 2. Then I sat down. Okay, then I got to sit down and see both of them. Then I got to sit down and see both of them. I was like, okay, yes. These are much better films than I was able to give them credit for at the time. They're solid films. The character of Peter Parker resonates. I think the biggest thing that took me out of the film, what I didn't like was the CGI. I just didn't really care for that at all, and especially in those days. For me, a film was already, if you will, fake. And then CGI was like fake on top of fake, so it really took me out of it. But story-wise, okay, the story was solid. All the players were where they needed to be. Then, of course, we get to Spider-Man 3, which I guess the less said about Spider-Man 3, the better, even though it made money.
It made money. I felt as though people were being pushed into it. They were a little reluctant. Tobey Maguire definitely didn't seem as though he was 100% there.
Oh, you kidding? He was. When you saw that dancing scene, you know that he was not there. Yeah. He was like, they was like, okay, I need something to do other than be the hero. Well, why don't we put you in this all black and you dance? Okay.
My big problem with that film was not the Gwen Stacy, the actress playing his wife, Mary Jane. And I just thought that was not Mary Jane. There's no way. What's her name? Kristen Dunst, I think her name is?
Yeah, Kristen Dunst.
That was Mary Jane. It just to me felt like a total miscast. I mean, I did like her. It was enjoyable. Tobey Maguire.
What was the miscast with that?
I don't know. I thought.
I know. You going to say it or you want me to say it?
I'd love to hear what you're going to say. Since
Not hot enough. That's what he means. Mary Jane in the comics is like model quality.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay, we're talking like,
Kristen Dunst is just a girl next door. She could have been Gwen Stacy. That's who I thought they were going to play her as at that point.
Well, Mary Jane is like Margot Robbie, okay, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'd say Margot
really,
Robbie.
Like a very, very attractive model type woman. Kirsten Dunst. For some people,
girl next door.
Well, they got the girl next door, but Mary Jane was the girl next door who was a model.
That's true. And so I thought that there would, but she did a good job. I'm not going to knock it. And for some people, she is their Mary Jane, but that was not the Mary Jane that I was thinking. And I think, unfortunately, I haven't yet seen a movie with Mary Jane. They haven't really made one with Mary Jane who's like that type. Like you said, Margot Robbie. That's actually a pretty good, a redheaded Margot
Mary
Robbie.
Jane is just like a real.
Mary Jane can go into Victoria's Secret's Angel line and not have a problem.
Yeah, that's Mary Jane.
That's
Mary Jane.
But
she's that's where Mary Jane is at the end of the day.
But what makes
the irony?
But what makes Spider-Man relates to her, and they relate, is that they're neighbors, but he can talk to her. She just sees him as a regular guy.
Yeah.
And he sees her. Well, she's super hot, but he can talk to her, and she's going. We see that she's going through her problems and tribulations, and that's how they end up connecting.
When she shows up at the house and she's like, "Face it, Tiger, you hit the jackpot." Okay, everybody who's seeing that scene is thinking like, okay, it's not necessary. And again, it's not. For some guys that's Kirsten Dunst, but for the majority of people, like, no. At the end of the day, that's not necessarily where where the casting might have been for should have been at the end of the day.
Yeah.
As I tripped over that whole one. But the irony was that in Spider-Man 3, who got casted? Ron Howard's daughter. Bryce Howard was casted, and she was cast as Gwen Stacy. Now, which I thought was very ironic because she's a natural redhead, so she would have been a perfect Mary Jane if that was the case, and they made her a blonde for that film. So I thought that was
interesting. Didn't know that.
I thought that was interesting at the end of the day that they had her in that film. But who knows? We still haven't seen that Mary Jane brought to life yet, so we may see her in the future.
So the only trepidation I have with the whole Sam Raimi, I haven't seen anything recent of his. That's number one. And number two, I know they did the the Bruce Campbell Evil Dead where they've been pushing that. I think Starz has a show with him, and it's been very popular. A lot of people have come out; they're interested in that show. And of course, Bruce Campbell. How can you not like him? He's funny as hell. You put him in whatever show he's in, he's still Bruce Campbell, and he's just funny.
Yeah, he was on Hercules' Legendary Journeys.
He was on Hercules. He was on Xena. He's on everything. And I'm like, I always wondered why he did not. To me, him and what's the guy who played? It's the guy in Firefly, the captain in Firefly.
Mal.
Those two are so much similar, a little bit alike. Like those guys. Why did they not blow up and become huge stars? Because they did a good job. I love that comedic feel of those guys. But I guess Evil Dead being a horror thing possibly didn't have the same wide.
Yes, Evil Dead being a horror film didn't necessarily give him the vehicle he needed to become a leading man and get that star treatment. Horror.
But if it was Privet, probably it would have been a little different, So
well, it was Privet.
So, but yeah, my next major issue is not issue, but another thing that I'm concerned with Sam Raimi is, Marvel has directors. Marvel doesn't bend to directors. Directors bend to Marvel. And so we've seen again and again the directors who come from outside the system. Marvel it has a system set up, and they're going to ride you rough.
Yes.
All the directors who've done movies after a while say, "Yo, I got to get out this."
That's right. No lube.
There is very little to get off on this particular thing.
Well, it's a
machine, and the machine.
And it's a big. That's why Joss Whedon had to leave, because a lot of people thought Joss Whedon directed 2 films.
I thought so too.
No. Joss Whedon directed the 2 Avengers films, but he consulted on all of the other films because everything had to tie together and to lead up. So by the time he got finished with the second one, he was like, I'm burned out, because he is directing. He's officially directing 2 films, and then he's sitting over here and other films like, no, this can't happen, this can't happen,
sure
this can't come over here, got to make certain this guy. So it's a lot of work. And then you got the other guys who are like, it's one thing if you want. I think Kenneth Branagh did one turn on Thor.
Yeah, Dark
So
World.
Kenneth Branagh makes the film. He's probably like, no, I'm not, interested.
Not the first
Why?
Thor.
Yeah, the first Thor. Why? Because you can't just make Thor. Thor has to be in line with all these other moving parts, and everything has to work, like you said, like a machine. This is one more cog in this big thing that we're building, and without that synchronicity at the end of the day, we don't get Avengers Infinity War, we don't get Avengers Endgame, we don't get Avengers
at all.
So it's a really big thing, and a lot of most directors are used to, hey, this is a script, whatever. I'm going to do whatever I think as a director. You come into a Marvel film, okay, you got like, no. You're like, what are you talking about? This isn't a script. What are you doing? Oh, well, I'm trying to give it more texture and color. You are trying to get fired. That's what you're trying to do at the end of the day. And you're going to be out of here. So, but I think, I think Sam Raimi has enough, I think he has enough talent and also enough self-awareness to realize, okay, if I'm directing this film, one, I'm coming in,
in the last minute.
I'm coming in to bring this thing across the finish line, so that's number one. So I'm just tightening up there. And 2, I think he's established enough not to have the residual ego, you brought me in. Like, no, I'm coming in here. I'm really coming in here to pinch hit, okay, and also have a name, attached to it as well, so people don't come over here like, well, who the hell? Who's the director? Nikolai Volkov. Who the hell is that?
Hey, but they've plucked people out of obscurity. The director for the Russo brothers, Gunn didn't really do anything big on his own. So I mean, just saying, that's just a couple, and Marvel has consistently done that.
Well, Disney has done a good job of getting, they've been a good job of being headhunters, if you will, and finding good talent. I don't think this is the stage of the game now where they're like, okay, we want to, not with the sequels and stuff, we want to find talent. We want people over here who, who are established, can do the job. Maybe with the first film, we don't mind somebody cutting their teeth a little bit, like with Black Panther.
Right.
Ryan Coogler was there. I don't think he's doing the sequel, though. I think somebody else is on the sequel.
I'd heard some crazy stuff about that, too. So,
I don't think he's doing the sequel. But Ryan Coogler got his big show, his big show and prove was Creed. So Creed was there, and then also didn't work out because they wanted someone else to.
He didn't do Creed. I think he did. He
was. He was the director for Creed.
For the second one.
First one. He didn't do the second.
That's what I'm saying. He didn't do the second one, which I could.
He didn't have time because of the Black Panther film. He couldn't. He couldn't do both.
And the Black Panther is coming in 2021. I mean, wow. Is it 2021 or 2022?
Should be next year.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's like what 4 years after the last movie. That's a lot of time. That's one of the things I think that's hurting Bird of Prey too, because so much time. I'm not saying it's hurting, but it could potentially hurt when you have a time when a movie comes out.
Birds of Prey, that's a different story. There's some things that it'll probably do okay. You have a popular enough character, but
I'm
again,
watch
that's neither here nor there. We're talking about
cut that and continue.
Doctor Strange
and Sam Raimi
and the madness of the multiverse.
Yeah. So I give it kudos. I say Sam Raimi. I hope everything works out. If he does some of his magic, but I have a feeling that Disney already set everything up. There's already a plan, and you're basically just coming there to ride herd over everything, and that's it. So,
well, it's similar to what happened with Zack Snyder's Justice League, where Joss Whedon is the name that got attached to it, but the majority of the film was already done by Zack Snyder.
Oh man, that's
so when these guys, when you hear these guys again, you hear the basement dwellers again. They're like, give us the Snyder Cut. Give us the Snyder Cut. It's like, you got the Snyder Cut. That's what you saw in the theaters. What you saw in the theaters.
You saw the Snyder Cut was Man of Steel. The Snyder Cut was Batman vs. Superman. And the Snyder Cut was, Whedon tried to write, but it was too far down the process to come back and change the movie wholesale. So the very fact that they're asking for a whole new Snyder Cut, to release the Snyder Cut, I think is, take a look at the monies. While they were financially successful, they did not help to move the characters to a higher goalpost. And
did not.
Not like Marvel, where you have characters, people are like, oh, I want to see this character do something else. You know what I'm trying to say? It didn't happen with those characters. I think the thing with DC is that some of these characters are so iconic. Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Batman, that, it's just...
Superman. I know you did that on purpose.
Dude, I'm making a point, and he's always trying to cut me off. Mm-hmm. So these are iconic characters. So thank goodness that, despite the fact that what's his name was on Snyder was on the wheel, that these characters can continue to go on and progress and do well. So Wonder Woman has done well. Aquaman has done well. Batman should do well, considering.
Well, I think you saw Doctor Strange, and after you saw Doctor Strange, you're like, I would like to see more of this character. I think with the Snyder films, you saw this, and you said, I would like to actually see the character. It's like, where's Superman? Because this isn't him. Yeah. That's Batman.
Well, he's in The Witcher. If you want to see him, he's in The Witcher.
That's not him either. But you will definitely see Henry Cavill having a nice time and doing that particular romp as he does in the fantasy world. So, again, looking forward to the new Doctor Strange film. Sam Raimi at the helm. Would definitely like to see what he inputs into it, even though we have to understand this is more going to be, what's the film like 70% done, 80%?
I don't know if it's that far ahead, but I know the planning and all that's practically done. I mean, they basically just...
Have they started shooting?
I don't think so. They're going to be
shooting. No, this is great then, because if all the planning is there and we get to see him actually execute things as a director, that's even better. Yeah. So I'm definitely I'm even more looking forward to the film now. But
remember, this film has to tie into WandaVision, which is Wanda and Vision's TV show on the Disney Plus service.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
And no, because it's a whole new thing where now those shows are integral parts of the...
They'll be fine. Look, if it was somebody else, okay. Sam Raimi has done television, Sam Raimi has done film, and Sam Raimi has done cable. I'm certain he'll be okay.
Safe pair of hands. Yeah, okay? I kind of agree with you there, but Disney can grind them, bro.
Sam Raimi will be just fine. He'll get jocks around him.
Spin a rack.